Alright, best impression right now. 3, 2, 1. Flap, 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 flap. Hey! What's up guys, Akariss here, bringing you a, not really an analysis, but more or less like my thoughts on FEH Channel, because this does get asked a lot, so I feel like I should cover the FEH Channel to the best of my ability, so here I am. Alright, so today's video will cover pretty much everything on the FEH Channel, but mostly brief thoughts or extensive thoughts depending on what it is. As you can see in the blackboard on the top left, those are things I'm going to cover today. Definitely going to look at the new heroes briefly, going to look at some of the quality of life, arena stuff, changes, and like the summer celebration overall. There are a couple of things to note while I'm recording this video. I realize that the Hero Fest has been confirmed to be bugged with summoning changes, that whether that's true or not, it'll leave it up to IS to decide. And realistically, keep in mind that all of this stuff is probably bait before CYL, which I would also consider a bait, but that's for an extensive topic. If you want to know what I'm talking about, hit up the Twitch. As you're watching this video, I'm actually probably live, so go and see if you want a more extensive idea of what I think, why I think CYL is a bait. But also because we might be getting some of the best like legendary heroes coming up as well, and mythics, like an Astro Mythic is expected soon, and we need like a really good win legendary hero, so those are definitely things to consider. While all this is being talked about, you got my arena gameplay below, with Sheena being the bonus unit. Some of the really highest scores we've ever seen in arena. Always fun times. But with that being said, let's jump into it. So, special heroes coming up. We have pretty much a new Harmony hero, Harmonious hero, including Veronica and Xander. I love Xander, and I do like Veronica as a character, especially since, I don't know, like Thrasir is cool, so if she develops into Thrasir, like that's kind of cool to me. We also have pretty much like a character from almost not every, but a lot of Fire Emblem games, so it's nice to see that, including Bridgette, who I don't know if you consider a seasonal, but my thoughts on this is it's cool, and it's a new theme, kind of like the dancers or the picnic stuff. I like when they do these special heroes with kind of like a new theme to it. I guess you could say that they're like summer banners, but Hoshiden Festival was technically summer too, I guess, so it's cool that they run this sort of thing, and my thoughts on it is good job IS, keep up like that sort of creativity. Unfortunately for us, we are getting Daros free, but he's like another Green Axe Infantry, probably 175 BST, probably similar to someone. Like he's probably gonna be similar to Mustafa, or maybe Hinata, or possibly Ross. Like who knows? It's not gonna be interesting, but hopefully his weapon is. So far, what I'm told is it's probably like some sort of solo skill built in, so it can't be adjacent. That's okay, I guess. Probably better use in like AR than Arena, because Arena you do actually want your units adjacent. Huge fan might end up being better, so this is probably disappointing, but at the end of the day, be happy we could save some grails, right? So you don't have to merge up another really good unit. Next up, there's a little bit of a quality of life update that was mentioned during the video, and I do want to actually talk about this sort of thing as opposed to skipping it over, which is, good job on IS for making sure that they still keep up these sort of quality of life changes. If you've been playing AR, you'll know how annoying a turn limit is. Like, not annoying, but like to have to check it. See, before, when you wanted to know what turn it was and you kind of forgot in your short-term memory, you have to click the gear and it shows you what turn it is. Now, if it shows it at the bottom, and they're also going to do like resources in the menu, this is a great change, and I'm glad it's in here. I wish they would do more, like, some of the Fed Pass features being available to FTP players, but I'm glad they still look at these minor improvements and incorporate them into the game. So, big fan of that, and good job for them on doing this. Next up, we got arena maps. Now, this is overdue because there's some really bad arena maps, like very enemy favored. In fact, you're watching one right now. I absolutely despise this map, Double Bridges. If you don't have a flyer, it's really annoying to play on this, especially when you have range overlap between a melee and a ranged character. Very annoying, but thankfully we got new ones coming up. There's also the Oasis and like double brick block map in the middle. Like those are really annoying maps. So hopefully these ones are a bit better. My initial impression is that if you have flyers, you're in a good spot for most of these maps because there's water, forests, and mountains, so that's always going to want to encourage flyers. Flyers always have great mobility, so if you have a flyer or don't have a flyer part of your core, you really should have one, and they do help a lot, especially combined with like armors with guidance and such, to really get you in and out of those tough situations. If I was to take a quick gander at this, I'd probably tell you that the third map, the middle one there, looks pretty good. Because like if you have space, if you have a lot of space between you and your enemy, that does give you more time to think. The really bad looking map here would probably be the second one, because like basically half the map is cut off and there's blocks that are broken there. So you might have like a range unit that actually shows Olwen there, like a range unit like Olwen, move 2 spaces, break a block, and if you have like Legendary Zoro behind, you pretty much can like reach your whole team right on turn 1. Those type of maps are really annoying, and I'm not going to be a huge fan of them. So like that's the comparison of what I think, but honestly speaking, at least they're doing something here, and I'm thankful for that. Next up, we really need new AR maps. Like, please, AR. Be nice to have a little bit of a change in meta here and there. Alright, so we got the summoning changes also announced during this FEH channel, and these are pretty much the units that got Thanos snapped, which means they're out of the pool from new and special hero summoning. Now, as I said in the beginning of this video, the Hero Fest stuff is told to be, like, according to their tweet, they said you're not supposed to see these heroes. I have experience already getting one of them, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. I didn't really expect them to be removed from that because they're not a newer hero, special heroes. That's not what Hero Fest has traditionally been. New and special heroes are pretty much special being seasonals and new being brand new heroes. So I never expected this, but who knows what's going on there, and maybe in a day or two we'll figure that out. Regardless, removing these units from the permanent pool is, in my opinion, a good thing, since most of them start to get outdated, whether that's fodder or usability. A lot of them start getting weaker. For example, Sigbert is pretty much just a 5-star exclusive version of Elwood, and probably worse than him in most cases. You got stuff like Ishtar as a blue mage, who pretty much would be outclassed by stuff like Fallen Delthea offensively or Brunya defensively, big time. So it's like kind of disappointing to see these going up. You also got like Grima, who's like green armored dragon. There's like hundreds of these now, but not really like totally outclassed by stuff like Nagi or Winter Solstice. So I don't see why you want these. Even Swordheart is pretty much outclassed by like Ares. And these are just small examples, of course, but the list goes on. Of course, some of these are really good. That means that maybe you should save orbs for those particular units. For example, Micaiah is still very good against Cavline, so saving for her and getting that bonus weekly revival 4% rate is much better than previously, of course. And Veronica and the CYL2, which we will cover later, also getting refines means saving for these weeklies are good. Now, this does actually also bring a precedent that if you like a particular like hero or character, it might be a really good idea to save for later. Like, for example, if you like Fallen Ike, and I know this is book 4, but let's say you like Fallen Ike, this means that you could wait like a year or two and wait till he's either on a Hero Fest or a weekly revival, like basically a year or two from now, and pick him up at a 4% rate, which is really good rates. Of course, legendary banners are also good if the other heroes are good, but generally speaking, what this tells me is that if you wait long enough and save, or at least you predict it eventually, weekly revivals should eventually include stuff like Book 3 and Book 4 heroes in the future for the game. So essentially saving and waiting then for these characters is also a pretty good idea, or at least bringing them up to plus 10. Like, it's fine to get one low merge and then finish them a lot later. Like, for example, Mer here is good because of a refine, S America is now good because of a refine, and probably the COL2 will be really good with refine. So it's a good idea to wait for these weekly revivals and spend there for your merges and use them as core units. I definitely think this is solid strategy moving forward. And I think it's a good thing because I don't really want to see them. I don't want to see them when I summon on anything as pity breaks. Do not show them to me. Coming up, we got a bunch of this summer celebration stuff. Nothing really surprising to me. I'd say like the most disappointing thing for me as a veteran or long-term player is like BHB revivals. Like, this sucks. It just really isn't that great for me, so I'm not a huge fan of that. but as a new player, they're pretty good. If you've missed like the 2018 BHBs, basically you're getting like hundreds of orbs. And I'm not even exaggerating, you literally get hundreds of orbs if you never played back then. So at least in that way, it's good. But like as an older player, it's kind of like meh. Like why not just revive GHBs and then give everyone copies units, but also give copies to people who didn't play in that time. GHB reruns are, in my opinion, better than BHB reruns, so that's a bit disappointing to me, but again, it's just my opinion, so maybe if you're an older player, maybe you just want tons of orbs, and probably the case for most players, I'd say. Also, we get a bunch of rewards of like orbs and stuff, which we'll see like in the upcoming screenshot. See, there's all the BHBs. You miss these out before, then great, you're going to get tons of stuff out of them. But yeah, we'll cover the rewards a bit later. There's tons of goodies there, but same as it's always been. Now, this Hero Fest is replacing the last year's Hero Fest for new players, and I do actually think this is better than the last one. I do actually think so, and this is mostly because you can pretty much get anything you really need to get an account going. Dual Ephraim is a spectacular duo hero, and if you like merge them with +10, you give a pretty good start to your account for many reasons in pretty much many modes. Like he's a usable, good character in almost every mode. So this is a bit questionable, unfortunately. Like I'd prefer it was a light mythic or an astro mythic here, but whatever. Like getting defense mythics is also pretty important. So getting basically 2 defense mythics off a starter account is good, because then you're pretty much set in light season. You got 2 light mythics for free, and like a cheap dark mythic is good for like a new player. So I'm a fan of that. Dual Ephraim and Distant Counter basically rerolled through Nagi is super strong too, especially when you combine DC Special Fighter with like Ephraim or Brave Hector, for instance, with the Refines coming up, and assuming they stick around in the pool, some good combinations to be had there. So this is a good Hero Fest for newer players, and it's subjective for older players. Like personally, I don't need anything. I don't need Distant Counter. I don't need Dual Ephraim. I don't need Sothis. Sothis is actually probably if you've watched my like Hell video recently, you'll know that she's actually, I consider, the worst defense mythic. Probably even worse than like Lif and Duma at this point. Like you do not want her on your defense team, but she still saves you Lift at the end of the day. So decent if you don't have defense mythics. Probably worth saving orbs past this, though. Even with the rate up, it's not necessarily the best place to be spending orbs, I'd say, for most players. Finally, we have the summer celebration here, and just a bunch of goodies. The most questionable thing I see here is like 10 coins. What? What? Whatever. And we just wanted to fill out the thing. The grails is much appreciated. I love seeing grails. Those, I always assume I get like 400 something grails per month, so getting more than that per month is huge, considering I have tons of grail projects, and then when I see stuff like Daros, I'm like, great, I'll save more grails. As for the orbs, good, because saving is always good, and maybe for people who want to spend on Hero Fests or CYL or Legendary, that's also good. Papers, solid. More choices, always a good thing. I'd say even better than maybe last year in terms of stuff we get, with the coins being really weird, but whatever. Finally, the last thing I want to cover in the video is the CYL Refines. Now, we don't know what they are, but I will give a little bit of my speculation or thoughts I've heard from others on what this stuff could be. If you know already, CYL Refines were really good. In all of them. All of them were really good. Some of them are definitely meta impactful, especially Elwood getting like Roy's Refine, rest in peace Roy, but they're really good. Mike, Lancina, Roy, and even Lynn was good. If most people don't think it's that good, it is really good for many reasons. Not worth going into it so far, but all Refines were good, and they really do make these heroes want to be pulled. Like, people do want these. So revival banners and possibly merging of these characters could be a really good thing. Now, with that being said, I will go through them one by one and kind of give my thoughts on where I think these things stand. First of all, Celica seems to get like a Mystic Boost effect based on the video, seems to get some sort of like special spiral quick impulse effect, and all this is really good for her actually, because it would probably make her stand out when you combine her like Royal Lion effect, like Brave effect, and a way that she wants to be alone. So like as a Gale Force unit, this is huge, like actually huge, because she will stand out as one of the best Gale Force units for infantry. And if you combine stuff like NY Alphonse or Duo Ephraim for really easy engagements, she will stand out as being one of the best Gale Force infantries just alone on those things, because like doubling Guaranteed is huge. Having a high attack stat is huge. Having special acceleration is all huge for Gale Force. So Celica should end up being a very good Gale Force unit I think on like offense, honestly, but most modes will work too. And that will make her very competitive, even probably at low merges. Moving on, Ephraim is covered in the video, shown to be like healing and probably gets a bunch of stats. In fact, probably all these refines have stats, to be honest. But essentially, he seems to have something similar to like the summer weapons and I guess Forsyth, where you're attacking and healing. This is good if you consider that he gets auto doubles from Garm's initial effect from being buffed or movement, and the healing is good if you're going to use him as a tank unit. However, armor tanks are questionable in literally every mode right now, so I don't really think he'll stand out too much. Armors need a lot of help to be really good. I'm serious. So despite that, I don't know what I can say. He probably will work really nice in like arena, I guess, but yeah. Hector's face is missing here because I clipped it out of the video. Don't baby rage, please. So this refine tells me that it's probably something to do with doubling or stopping doubles. And if it also keeps the effect of, I believe, giving him like slaying and such, it should make him as a pretty good Gale Force armor. Similar to Ephraim, I'd say, but this would also be really good for him. So, like, you don't always want to be healed as an armor, but despite that, I think that this should be really good for him when you combine it with stuff maybe like Special Fighter or even like odd follow-up. Like just a bunch of, you probably don't even need to use fighter skills if this ends up being like some sort of fighter skill built into the weapon. I've always thought to myself, like, healers, if they didn't get Raffle or Dazzle as refines, or instead got like both in a refine, for instance, then that would open up their B slot for more customization. And I think like this Hector could end up being something like that. I don't know for sure, but it does look like some sort of auto double effect or denying auto doubles. So Hector, again, as with most armors, in my opinion, they are not going to be that great, but if you have them already, then at least he'll be usable. Now this is probably the most controversial refine and probably going to be the bike of refines for this batch. We have never had healer refines. Never. And for good reason. I don't know, you know, the good reason is like Veronica, for instance, getting refines is ridiculous. Old healers like Azama and Sakura, for instance, or who knows, Lucius, like, they're not that oppressive that they can get minor boosts to staffs they currently run. And Dazzle has counterplay, so it's not like, or at least don't give Raffle or Dazzle in the refine, so they have to make choices on their B slots. So there's like ways to balance this. But if based on some of the stuff I've heard, if this ends up being like a Kaden Kitsune Fang effect, that is going to be ridiculous, as Veronica ends up being a support and likely very oppressive on many defense teams. So, and PvE really, but I'm kind of scared of this one. I'm scared of this one, and if you have like a merge Veronica or don't have a merge Veronica, you may want to consider it, because maybe this, I do think this will be the best healer for a long time if this ends up being as good as I think it does. Okay guys, so with that being said, my thoughts on this FEH channel are pretty much summed up in the video. I hope that you enjoyed watching. I am going to tell you that I'm okay with this channel. We're going to get another one in like 2 weeks covering CYL 4 and probably the September update. Maybe even a Legendary Banner, who knows. I will try to cover it again when that particular video from Intelligent Systems comes out. And yeah, if you like the video, of course, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts on the FEH channel below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Much love. Peace.